let's make a journal page for our values. If you want to know what your soul values are, what the deepest part of you wants, then hopefully you're taking the Soulful Goal Setting class. And if you're not, come sign up. And if you are taking it, then here is how I'm going to make my background for my goals. I am using, as always, or almost always, colors that are in the same color family. Probably purple, pink, and a yellow, where in some ways might end up orange. This isn't really purple, it's more magenta. And I'm just making a fun watercolor background by doing what I normally do, which is smushing a bunch of color around the page and then letting it dry. And I'm gonna spritz, sometimes doing some water from a distance. There you go, a little spray on there can make some neat white marks. You could add salt if you wanted, we've done that before. I'm adding some Naples. No, so yellow and purple are opposites on the color wheel, so you don't want to mix them around too much because they'll make brown. You're welcome. This is more of a pink color. And you know what? I don't want this to be too dark because I want to be able to see the values that I write on top of it. Just using some magenta. So I most likely am going to go back and pat this dry with, this is a medium yellow. I'm most likely going to pat this dry with I cannot think, people. I'm sorry. I can't think and paint and talk all at the same time. What would you pat something dry with? A paper towel or whatnot. And also this poor page, I painted on the other side, so it's all bowed up. I'm gonna take my handy dandy cloth and just lay it on gently. Pat. I don't want to absorb all the color. There we go. Made kind of a cool pattern, and hopefully that is enough that I can draw in a dark color over it and still see it. Although I may take my other thing and just do a couple more random areas. And look, my hair is in it. I could leave my hair in it and then pull my hair out. That might make kind of a cool design. If you have something with a really neat design, you could lay that in the wet paper and let that dry. And also you could take, if you have some bleed proof white, take some bleed proof white and just smush around some areas just to make, and it'll mix with the watercolors, leave some areas kind of whiter, leave some areas a mixture. I'm gonna do a little more down here. This is just so I have a pretty background to write my 4 values on. Honestly, it's really for social media, so I can let you know that this class exists because I'm excited about it, because I'm pretty intent on just following what my heart and soul want rather than doing what my mind wants me to do, because my mind just makes poor choices. It makes poor choices that do not lead me to happiness. So I want to be with you with making soulful goals this year instead of mind goals. For the most part, I've let a lot of any kind of goal setting go, but there are some things like, so I don't set goals anymore about like, okay, sometimes I do set goals of like eating more fruits and vegetables because I sometimes lack in that department, but I don't set goals about like weight loss ever or any kind of, general health stuff. Yes, it's true, because I do like to make sure I exercise and meditate and that sort of thing. But I don't set goals that are like the traditional mind goals that you might think of. Like, I don't know. You know what kind of goals mine set? They're all like about getting ahead and getting more and all that stuff. That's cool. I guess just to mirror the other side, I will add some white in some spots just to make it So anyway, I want to, my real goal, my goals are always have to do with peace. My goal is to like live in alignment and do the thing that feels good and truly come from a place of knowing that all is well and believing that and not getting bogged down with my mind's negative thoughts. So I'm going to let that dry. And then once it dries, I'm going to write my 4 values on it. Okay, so I'll see you then. All right, I'm back. The sun is just coming up. The wind is howling. It's 10 degrees out. We're that super cold bomb cycle in December of 2022. But I am back to just finish this off. I just want to show you some ways that you can create your words. And of course, have I gathered any tools? No. I was just trying to figure out the light, which I'm going to continue to do. That looks so... And maybe I'll leave it like that. Okay. So my words, my 4 soulful words, the values that speak to me are peace. In fact, when my daughter asks me what I want for my birthday or Christmas, I'm always like, I want inner peace. That is the one thing that I always come back to, that everything I'm seeking in my life is because I want peace. So peace, joy, freedom. That's another thing that I always seem to come back to. The reason I want, the reason you want more money or vacations or whatever is because you want freedom. You want to feel free. And then my last one is consciousness, which just the act of being self-aware, of being awake, of noticing my mind. Those are my 4, the values that speak to my soul. So I haven't quite figured out how I want to do them, but we'll do a couple different things and see where they land us. And maybe I should test on a piece of paper first, or maybe I'll just go for it. I want them to be large enough that they're easy for me to see when I glance. So right now I'm doing sort of like a bubble, not a bubble letter, but would you call this a bubble letter? I tend to not end up making enough room for things because I don't measure. You can do better than me. Really, all you're trying to do right here is have this page in your journal to return to throughout the year, throughout everything, so that you can see, like, what is it that my soul, my insides, and it could change over time, although I think these types of goals are things that you will come back to year after year after year after year, because they truly are, they're what the deepest part of you wants. It's not just like you want this because you saw someone on Instagram had it. It's like you really, really do want this. I'm switching to a Tombow marker. I'm actually going to fill all of this in. I think it's kind of hard to read. It's actually, in real life, it's not as hard to read, but it feels a little hard to read. Nope, that marker's almost out of juice. It feels a little hard to read on the camera for sure. I'm just going to make this square around this, like this, and I'm just going to fill it. I'm going to fill it all in. So that's one way. Maybe I'll use, I don't know. I'm not happy with any of my solutions for filling in large areas of dark. I would like something that's easier. I'm grabbing watercolors because maybe I can do it faster. Yeah, so these are for you to refer back to. These are for you to, later on in the challenge, like next week, we're going to be picking goals and talking about different ways for things to happen in your life. But over the course of the challenge, you may find like, wow, I was still kind of doing something that was more oriented towards what my mind wanted. I want to go back. I want to feel into, I I want to feel into the values of my heart and soul. And this can just be a nice way. I have said over and over in various places, I really, really like having a space in my regular journal, but my art journal is like all like this, but I like having a space within my journal where I can go back and reread the things that spoke to me, the things that really, really stood out to me and made me feel whole. They felt like truth. That's what it feels like. It feels like truth. That open feeling in the body, that feeling of knowingness. I like when my mind is trying to take over, not just with goal setting, but with, you know, everything. I like having this sort of like touch point to come back to. So that is one of the reasons that I think it's important to do this exercise, is that you can turn back here. You're not going to probably do anything else with this page. When we do other art journaling pages, like my goals for peace, for instance, like for attaining or maintaining peace, I'm going to make a separate art journal page for that. This is just the page that's going to say what my values are at this time. All right, so there's peace. And do I want them all to be equally as bold? I don't know. Peace is definitely on the top of my list for important. So that's peace. And then my next one is joy, which is easy to make large. I'm going to do some sort of just fun, funky kind of lettering. That doesn't feel like enough for joy. It feels like it needs to have some pop. I'm going to do a little like maybe outlining or emphasis in this turquoise color. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going with this. I hope you can see this. It is, in real life, it's easy for me to read, but I feel like with the white in the background, it might be kind of hard for you to read. And really, I mean, the whole point of doing this is for you to make something that you enjoy looking at. You could just list the words on a piece of paper if you really wanted to. But I think it's more fun and more, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, if you make a page like this, then it's almost like a, I keep wanting to say the word tradition, and that is not the word I mean. Like a ceremonial, again, not the word I mean, but it's like an actual thing that you can come back to. Like, you're not just leafing through. You're like, I'm going to take a moment and light a candle and go look at my values and see if they still feel aligned with my soul, like that sort of thing. And, you know, I'll probably think of the word that I mean just after we get done here. I do feel like I want this to have more something. I'm just going to draw little turquoise circles to sort of go with my theme here. Why can't I think of that word, people? Like an act that you're intentionally doing, like a ceremonial act. Okay, there's joy. So peace, joy. And then my others were freedom and consciousness. Consciousness is long and I'm gonna have to make sure I spell it right. So freedom to me, I feel like it should just be a script. I don't want it to be too dark. It might be hard for you guys to read, but I'm gonna try to make it so I can read it. And I just want it to move across the page. And freedom. And I'm going to do some little dash marks around it. Freedom. And maybe a little highlight of another color. I know this pink isn't going to work. I know you cannot see. Yeah, I know you can't really see this. Just doing a light kind of like pink in some areas after realizing that if I use these with it, it kind of comes out in a way. The black marker kind of bleeds, which I didn't think it would. Okay, freedom. I'm gonna bring that closer. Freedom. Maybe I'll go back over it with a darker marker. I do these things in real time without a ton of planning because I want you to see that, you know, it's a process. Art journaling is, I like to have something that I can come back to and look at and be proud of, but it also shouldn't be a stressful, you know, you don't have to have some Instagram ready thing. So I made that just a little bit darker. Okay, freedom. I know how to spell consciousness, but I am going to write it down on this piece of paper because I just believe I will spell it wrong. Consciousness. That's a long word. That's a long word. And that's still wet. Okay. I'm just going to write it right here. And I'm not going to write it huge because consciousness is... It's not loud. Consciousness is not loud. Consciousness is, I put a period after it. I don't know why. Consciousness is quiet. Consciousness is that background sound. And under it, I think I'm going to write a couple other words. Consciousness, or maybe I'll leave it. I don't know. I want there to be more down here. I'm going to draw some flowers. Because consciousness, the first bloom of consciousness can be like a flower, flowering for the first time. I might even do a couple little, just like leaf shapes. I really need, I probably have another one somewhere. I probably have a round brush that is not so worn. Can I find it? No, kitty. Okay. That was loud. My child just made a loud noise. I'm just gonna fill in it a little bit here. This was not part of my plan. I didn't plan on doing this, but here I am. Once these dry, I'll probably add a few more details in black. Just some little leaves that I could put little vines on. Gosh, do you hear the wind out there? I wonder if you can hear that. It's crazy loud. Yeah, when those dry, I'm gonna outline them in black. And I am gonna fill that in with a little color. Oh, and that went beyond where I wanted it to. Hello. Hello, splotchy McSplotcher. Okay, good enough. This is where I leave it. You probably cannot even see it. This is Consciousness Small. I've made some leaf shapes. I have my 4 words written here that I can come back to, things that I want to focus on for my own goal setting. And I would love to see your pages. You could just hit reply and show me, or tag me on Instagram, whatever. I'll see you next week.